Welcome back to the Yoderverse podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we will be discussing perspective. But before we dive into it, make sure to like, subscribe if you find value out of this video, and I hope you enjoy. Let's begin. Sometimes what we ignore today was once revolutionary or even sacred. Objects we pass by without a second glance have rich histories that shaped civilizations. When we dig deeper, we realize that perspective really is everything. Today, we'll explore how a seemingly simple object hides an extraordinary history, proving to some extent that how we view things can be subjective and it's based on how you look at it. For example, toothbrushes date back to over 3000 BC when ancient civilizations used frayed twigs to clean their teeth, a culture that still exists in some places in the world. And the fork. Did you know that forks were once considered scandalous and banned in parts of in medieval Europe for being too luxurious? They were considered an object of immense power in some spheres within European culture and banned until around the Middle Ages. And lastly, the umbrella. Did you know umbrellas were originally used in ancient Egypt and China as a symbol of nobility, and whose original design was to shield you from the sun and not the rain? Which brings me to the main object that we'll be discussing today. I decided to choose something that I use every day but don't think about. And as an artist, that is, for me, a pencil. So today we are going to be doing a brief history of the pencil, a lesson on perspective. And it might or might not make you look at a pencil differently than you already do. But for me, I think it helped me appreciate how far this tool has come. And yeah, so pencils. A pencil is small, common, often overlooked, yet it changed the course of art, design, and communication forever. Before pencils existed, artists and writers relied on messy ink or expensive quills and things like that. Then, in the 16th century, a discovery in Boroughsdale, England, changed everything. A pure form of graphite was found that revolutionized drawing and writing. It was initially mistaken for coal. Graphite was so valuable that it was guarded and mined under military control. It's interesting to think that, considering that almost everyone in the world could have a pencil if they so wanted to. Early pencils were wrapped in string or encased in wood to prevent hands getting messy. And clearly, it was a simple solution, you don't get graphite on your hands, but that has withstood the test of time, as that is how pencils are made till now. So, the rise and fall of reverence. The pencil quickly became a key player in art and literature. Leonardo da Vinci and other great minds of the Renaissance might have marveled at how effortlessly it allowed sketches to flow. Yet, today, pencils are tossed aside mostly, lost at the bottom of backpacks, or used only in classrooms. How did something so impactful become so mundane? I think the answer to that would be with everything that we take no notice to right now that used to have significant importance in societal history. It became common, easy to make or produce, therefore cheap. And as a result of that, everyone was able to buy one. It expanded in market. And then, since everyone had one and was able to create writing and art, it lost its, I won't say uniqueness, but it lost that thing that made it, why was it only mined under military control? It was a very valuable thing, but now it has become common. So we have to consider how the view of the pencil today versus the early revolution of the pencil was. Back then, it was a groundbreaking invention that unlocked creativity and communication, and now it's often overlooked in favor of sleek digital styluses and keyboards. So now people type instead of write physically. Writing with a pencil was easy because you could erase it, unlike with a pen. There could be very many paths I could take from that point. But anyway, knowing its history changes how you see it. Suddenly, a humble pencil becomes a symbol of innovation, resilience, and possibility. You start to see how important things are, regardless of how ignored they are right now. So the pencil is just one example. So just gonna dive slightly deeper into the gonna go back into the history of the pencil, mid 1500s, when the deposit of graphite landed in Borisdale, England. Locals initially believed it to be a form of coal, which I mentioned before. But where did the name graphite come from? Though we know it as graphite, the substance was mistakenly thought to be a form of lead or coal, giving rise to a misleading term, lead pencil. The name graphite comes from the Greek word graphene, meaning to write, which makes a lot of sense. But how did the pencil become what it is today? By the late 1500s, Italian artisans began encasing graphite in wood. So that's how we get the current model of the pencil. So these rudimentary versions were crafted by hollowing out wooden rods and inserting the graphite. So more like a graphite holder of sorts. Early pencils were flat or oval to prevent them from rolling away, unlike cylindrical shapes commonly used today. So that's another way that it has evolved. In the late 1700s, during the Napoleonic Wars, France was cut off from high-quality graphite supply in England. French scientist Nicolas Jacques Conté developed a method of mixing powdered graphite with clay, creating a more consistent material that could be molded and fired into pencil lead. This process remains a foundation of pencil manufacturing today because of the density of graphite. Conté's technique allowed for different grades of hardness by varying the clay to graphite ratio, giving rise to the familiar grading scale, for example, HB, 2B, 4H. Personally, I like 4H pencils, which means it's a very, very hard lead, which means it has more clay. It's a very hard lead, which means it removes a softer pigment, versus something like 10B, which has more graphite in it, therefore is more comparable to something like coal. The 19th century saw a boom in pencil manufacturing across Europe and America. That's when companies like Faber-Castell and Staedtler, very, very famous worldwide pencil brands, German companies, which Faber-Castell, previously known as Faber, they became pioneers in pencil production. In 1912, William Monroe, cabinet maker in Massachusetts, began making pencils using Conté's method. Later, Joseph Dixon founded what became the Dixon Ticonderoga Company, one of the most recognizable pencil brands, especially in the United States today. And then there was the yellow pencil phenomenon. Why are many pencils yellow? Cultural influence is one of the reasons. In the late 1800s, high quality graphite began being imported from China, where yellow was associated with royalty and prestige. Pencil manufacturers began painting their products yellow to signify their superior quality. The trend caught on, and yellow became the standard for high quality pencils worldwide. I feel like that has changed to some extent because you can buy a yellow DOMS pencil and it's a good pencil, but then you buy it for an equivalent of $1. And then you have something like a Blackwing pencil, just black or white or gray, and it would cost you an average of $20 to $50 for an individual pencil. So I feel like that had its significance. The color yellow had its significance, but right now it has just become a color. The pencil revolutionized both art and literature and became an essential tool for sketching, drafting, and note taking. Leonardo da Vinci, Henry David, and Henry David are some of the notable people who used pencils in their works. Leonardo da Vinci, of course, being an artist and engineer, and Henry David being a writer. And then, of course, one of the main uses of the pencil is architectural drafting. The pencil became indispensable for architects and engineers till date. What other innovations stemmed out of this pencil that we all have? In 1858, Hyman Lipman patented the first pencil with an attached eraser. That 1858 was the first time where an eraser was attached to a pencil. Another thing is mechanical pencils, which I love. I love mechanical pencils. I use them daily for my art. The 20th century saw the rise of refillable mechanical pencils, which provided consistent sharpness without the need for sharpening. And I believe that that was one of the greatest innovations because of line consistency when you're drawing or writing. When you're writing with a pencil, you find yourself sharpening often because as you get to the end of the pencil sharpen, as it becomes blunt, basically, your letters look bigger or more faded in a way. Pencils still hold great significance in our day-to-day lives, as mundane as they have become. They still are used to influence certain things. Like, for example, all modern styluses like the S Pen from Samsung or the Apple Pencil from Apple are all based on the pencils and serve that exact purpose. The pencil's journey from a rudimentary marking tool to an everyday essential demonstrates how even the simplest objects can have profound histories. So, before we conclude, here are some fun facts about pencils. The longest pencil ever made was measured at over 1,509 feet or 460 meters and was created in Nuremberg, Germany. How many words? A standard pencil can write approximately 45,000 words or draw a line about 35 miles long before running out of graphite. That is very interesting. So you can physically write an entire novella or short book with one pencil. Pencil in space. Contrary to popular belief, early astronauts used pencils in space before the development of specialized space pens. Space pens being the pens that are more suited for space travel and drawing in space. The story of the pencil is a testament to human ingenuity, adaptation, and creativity, proof that even the most commonplace objects can hold extraordinary tales. So, the pencil is literally just one example. Many everyday objects hide fascinating backstories waiting to be discovered. It's not just about what the object is, but about the lens through which you view it. And a challenge for you is next time you pick up an object that seems ordinary, pause for a moment and think, what's its history? How did it come to exist as we know it today? And what stories or significance does it carry from past to present? The world becomes infinitely more interesting when you look at it through the lens of curiosity. Sometimes the extraordinary is hidden in the most ordinary places. You just need the right perspective. And that will be all from today. I hope you enjoyed a brief history of the pencil. Again, as mentioned before, uh, subscribe if you find value out of this. Share with those who you think would find this interesting. And be sure to, if you're a reader, be sure to subscribe to my newsletter, which I update once or twice a week. Some topics being unique to the newsletter, others being written versions of this podcast. So if you'd like that, all the links will be in the description and the pinned comment. It is absolutely amazing to have you here, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care.